But without any further ado, I'm going to turn things over to kick things off to Gay Gilbert from the U.S. Department of Labor, Employment and Training Administration. She is the administrator for the Office of Unemployment Insurance. Gay, take it away.
Thanks, Brian, and good afternoon, everybody. Let me add my welcome to everyone for this orientation to Reemployment Connections and the thing that's going to be the most exciting thing in your year. Honestly, we were very pleased to have the 6 states joining us. We now have California, Georgia, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, and Kentucky, who will be our next generation of Reemployment Connection states, and we're just extremely excited to have all of you here and beginning this work. We do think of you all as our next sort of wave of pioneers in the reemployment world, and obviously we had our original 5 pilot states, but again, things are always shifting and changing, and there's opportunities not only to build on their work, but to also create new innovation. And so we're going to be having really high expectations of you all. I did want to mention that Georgia may be a surprise on the list of the states, but we're most happy that they're part of the team here. They received a different grant from the UI supplemental budget opportunities related to connectivity, and we're anxious to join the Institute, and we had room, so we were happy to have them and have them be part of this next group. I think probably you all have heard me on other webinars because this particular initiative, the Reemployment Connections Initiative, is very near and dear to my heart. Obviously, it focuses on integration so as to ensure that UI claimants are fully connected to workforce and reemployment services. So from a UI perspective, obviously, that's important. But I think more importantly, it's also about innovation and leveraging new service delivery designs, new technologies, new communication media to enhance our reemployment service delivery overall as a system. Again, we really look to this new group of states to continue to be leaders for the rest of the country. So the work that you're doing, get ready. It's not just for you. We're going to put you out there for the rest of the country as we move forward. I do want to compliment you all for coming to the table around this initiative. It shows your all's foresight of the need to do this, and also your willingness, I think, to come to the table and be a leader for the country. I do want to talk to you a minute about expectations and what we want to accomplish with the Virtual Institute. I know Rick and team are going to go through more specifics about how the Institute will support your work, but in looking through your all's applications, many of you kind of honed right in on the social media thing, and I recognize that is a grand opportunity for states to improve how we manage service delivery and network for various reasons as part of our system. But I'm going to tell you we're going to want to push you in broader directions as we move through this institute. We want you to see it as a true strategic planning process where you really are stepping back and not only looking at what you proposed in this grant, but also just evaluating where your areas of opportunity are to enhance your reemployment service delivery and to integrate it and use technology and all those other things to enhance your work and enhance the service delivery design system. We're going to push you again to look at how you're integrating your own infrastructure, your IT infrastructure, what your service delivery design looks like today and what it could look like. We want you to look at the new tools, the technology tools that the first 5 pilot states have worked with ITSE to design, to see if there's any opportunities for you to utilize those. And again, I think we want to see this Virtual Institute as really a genuine working session where you all are revisiting literally your vision for where you want to take your state. I also, in doing that, we do have a lot of opportunities to support you through, and again, you'll hear more detail about this from Rick and team, but the pilot states and various and sundry other subject matter experts are going to be available to you throughout the Institute. We obviously we have a number of activities leading up to the Institute so that you're prepared and ready. And then I do want to talk about a second initiative that we have going that you will be presented with as an opportunity, and we hope that all of you will take advantage of this one. As sort of a second initiative related to connectivity, we have Mayor and Mayor, as it turns out, as a technical assistance contractor for us on a project where we are offering literally on-site assessments with you, with your state, to look at where are your areas of opportunity with regard to connectivity across programs with IT infrastructure, with use of these new tools, and generally. So this is one area that we think all of you would benefit from, and again, it can help you kind of broaden your thinking about what's feasible in your state and how soon and when and what tools might be available to you. So again, we're looking very excited that you're here, looking forward to stretching your thinking and also looking forward to the good work that you're going to do. So thank you very much for being here, and Rick, I'm going to turn it over to you. And by the way, Amanda's not with us today, but she is here in spirit. She just was called to another meeting. We are literally joined at the hip to support this effort, and both of our offices are ready and willing to do whatever it takes to. In fact, I have a number of Amanda's team here with me right now to support your all success. So, Rick, turn it back to you.
All right, Gay, thank you, and thanks to the rest of the ETA team. And I do think this slide is worthy of note, and it's important as we approach our work with this next set of kind of early adopter states and pioneers, that they recognize that this is something where National is joined at the hip, and that you, Gay Gilbert from UI, and Amanda as the leader of the Office of Workforce Investment are both sponsors and very involved in this activity and in the support for the activity. So thanks, Gay, for your opening comments. And as I get ready to talk to you about today, let me just add my congratulations to all of you. Rather raucous applause by the few Giant fans left who have nothing else to clap about. So we'll say that we appreciate you guys being here and congratulate you on your successful competition in this grant. And what we hope to do today is to kind of get you oriented about what is going to happen beyond today as you think about approaching this grant opportunity. And as Gay said, looking at it as a serious opportunity and a focused opportunity to engage with some strategic planning to advance what you set out in your grant application, and maybe more, and to look at the full integrated set of tools that are being offered here. We're going to be focusing on, of course, social media, on Gay mentioned the piloted e-tools that were supported by pilot states and created with the assistance of ITSE, and those are the Integrated Workforce Registration System and the Workforce Individual Profile page, which many of you have become familiar with and will become much more familiar with as we go forth. And finally, this is all about partnership building inside your states. And what we hope to do with the Institute is beyond the state borders by giving you a lot of access to folks in the pilot states that have done this, have gone through a learning curve, they have some lessons learned to share, and they've done some things wrong, and they've done a lot of things right. And the knowledge, I've been impressed with the knowledge of some of these early SMEs. And again, what we really want to do is to take that historical learning and make it active and kinetic and get it into your hands so that you can take the best of what folks have done in the past and make that active for you in your state. So for today, again, I'm going to do a quick introduction and project overview. In a moment, I'm going to ask Jen Pirtle, our leader from ETA, to talk a little bit about the grant specifics. But beyond Jen's remarks, I'll talk to you about the Institute itself and how we've laid it out. We want to talk about how we think you can start best by an assessment of your current status. We've heard that over and over again from our pilot states, and we're going to show you some tools that we're offering you to get a good handle on where you are today and therefore where your opportunities are. Well, I'm going to outline the approach to our work, and you see a number of things in here, how you will solidify your state teams and select a facilitator, an action planner, a social media assessment, the web resources we've created for you, the fact that there is a work plan that precedes the Institute, and you want to circle on your calendar November 22nd. That's when it's due to ETA. I'm going to show you a template to help you in hopefully constructing that in a very effective and efficient way. And we'll preview the Institute itself, the layout of the Institute, the formation of your output. I mean, ultimately, we want to begin with the end in mind here, and the end game is a state strategic plan for the integration of service delivery through the use of any number of these elements. That is, the technology tools, the use of social media, and the like. And then we'll build to a final Institute report out and webinar where states will be able to share with each other what their plans are, so you'll learn from each other and you'll inform each other and us at the same time. And then ultimately your complete strategic plan, which we will share with others and is due in final form to ETA just after the first of the year. We'll close with telling you the key next steps and dates you need to be concerned about, and also we'll have a Q&A and a closing comment from the leadership at ETA. I want to stress to you, though, if anything that I'm talking about as we go through this it creates a question in your mind, please use the main chat window, enter a question there. Brian is going to be monitoring it for me, and if something pops up and it's timely for me to deal with it in the moment, I'll stop and try to address your question at that moment. If not, hold your questions and we'll deal with them directly during the Q&A at the end of the event. Again, we got a limited amount of time, so let me dive into it. If I could, what I want to do, please guys be brief, and this for your time more than mine. Again, we want to recognize the fact that this is really all about you and these 6 states. And Brian mentioned early on that your phone lines are muted, but I'd like to have you each introduce yourselves very quickly, if I could. And the way that we'll do that, we'll do it in the order that we see appearing on the slide, starting with California. We'll bring our West Coast friends in first. And if California, if you can unmute your line by pressing *6, and just tell us in a minute or two, who you are, what you think you're focused on, and maybe who's on your team. Say hi to the rest of the world, and then we'll move on to Illinois. California, can you hear me? *6.
Can you hear us?
I can. Hi.
Hello. Hello, this is California reporting.
Cool. So tell us who's with you and what you think you're out to do in this grant real quick.
We are with Employment Development Department for the state of California. My name is Patricia Ray. I have with me my boss, Jaime Gutierrez, and my colleague, Ray Bell. And we are here to set up a program for reemployment connections using the social media aspect of it. We do use social media quite a lot, but we're looking for ways of thinking out of the box and hopefully be able to reach more of the claimants and make them job seekers.
Awesome. Well, thanks, California. And if you would, for me, each state, when you're done, would you just have, if we wanted to have a single contact so that we can communicate with the facilitator is identified, just type in a name and an email address in the chat box, and Susan Tartaglino here is going to have a context list so we'll know how to get a hold of you. Thanks, California. There's a lot of great learning that's happened in the area of social media, and we're going to look forward to bringing that to you so that you can leverage it going forward. Okay, Illinois. Say hi and tell us who's there.
Hi, can you hear me? This is Gideon.
Hi, Gideon. How are you?
I'm very good. Glad to be on the call. Glad to be a part of this. My name is Gideon Bluestein. I'm Deputy Director of the Illinois Department of Employment Security. I oversee all of our business outreach, employer outreach under Wagner Pizer. The group that makes up our team for this initiative is myself from IDES, and then we've got some representatives from local workforce boards. Kathy Lively, who is the head of Mantricon, which is a local workforce in the southern part of our state, and she's also the board chair of the Illinois Workforce Partnership, which serves as a vehicle to get information out to all of the local workforce agencies. And then Phaedra Leslie is my counterpart at LWIA 7, which is also known as the Chicago Cook Partnership. They represent all of Chicago and Cook County, which is obviously serving many, many customers.
Right.
Our goals, well, we're probably too early for goals. Our focus is going to be taking our social media to the next level, and in particular, making sure that it's, we'd like to have a coordinated approach to social media so that if the Department of Employment Security and our UI claimants are hearing a message, it's in step with what our local workforce agencies want to get out to that community as well, and vice versa.
Yep.
And then the second piece we're very interested in learning more about is Common Front Door, and just anything in the near term that we can do to improve our current transition for folks.
Awesome, and kudos on the depth of your team, on having the local and state perspectives there, and in the context of a Common Front Door, in the Institute, you're going to be learning about the Integrated Workforce Registration tool and the Individual Profile tool, and that is ITSE and this project's contribution to that. So you'll want to tune into those topics, and I'll give you some sense of where we're headed with that and what we have to offer on it. And to all of you, but specifically to focus identified for Illinois, social media is a lot of great learning and a lot of great SMEs we're going to bring to the table. And finally, I loved your idea of calling this your focus area, too early for goals. I like that mindset. I think as you get informed through the Institute, you may see that your goals change, get narrower, get more broad, but as you get more informed, you'll make goals that may or may not match your original focus, and that's a great open-minded way to look at things. So welcome, Illinois. Again, if you could enter your name and email in the chat so we know how to get a hold of you following today, that would be great. Let's shift over to Iowa. Iowa.
Hi, this is Carrie Kuntz. I'm the Administrator for Communications and Labor Market Information, and I have Todd McGee on our Labor Market and Grants team with me. And then our overall team consists of areas from UI and workforce services and our field operations out in the regions as well. And our biggest focus is, while we already have implemented an integrated triage system, we really want to broaden that out with the profile and move into a much richer experience in that for our clients on both the employment and the unemployment side, and then really make use of the social media. While we currently use a lot of social media, we really want to be able to enhance the targeting of it and eventually move into having unemployment claims, app enabled so it connects immediately to the employment services as well.
Awesome. I saw on your the data sheet they handed me on Iowa, the focus area, all 4 strategies and that's great. And we wish you well with that. And I've seen some really impressive presentations from places like Mississippi and others that are doing the kinds of things you're talking about. And I'm happy to say we don't have all our SMEs with us today, but we'll be introducing you to them. And we have leaders from ITSE that were involved in the development of these tools. We have leaders from Mississippi and New York and elsewhere that have been deploying them. And all of these SMEs from the pilot states that have been working with ETA have been more than generous and are going to be involved hands-on and face-to-face with you guys through virtual media as the Institute rolls out. So welcome, Iowa. Let's go to Kansas.
Hello, this is Shelley Thompson.
Hi, Shelley.
How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
First, I'd like to thank you all for this opportunity. we in Kansas feel like it's a really great timing for us, as back in March we formed a task force, and our focus of that task force really was kind of the goal here to better assist UI claimants and see how we can get them connected to the workforce services portion. So what Gay was saying earlier is exactly what we've been trying to accomplish here these last several months. So we're really excited about the timing of this. Our team today is a little spread out, but on with us today we have Felicia Gibbs, who is with one of our local workforce centers. We have Deb Scheibler, who is an executive director for one of our local workforce investment boards. We have Nancy Metzler, who is an IT staff person on the UI side. And I'm not sure if anybody else is on, but we also have on our team a few staff members from our LMI department, and then we also have our Director of Employment Services, who couldn't make it today, and then our IT person for our the WIA Employment Services side of things. So we're happy to have what we feel like is a pretty strong team. We applied for 3 of the 4 strategies. The common registration system, which, again, we've been discussing for a long time, but we have some gaps and some barriers that we're hoping the subject matter experts can help us work through. We've got, we also applied for the real-time triage, and we updated the profiling system the end of 2009. So we're hoping that, again, we can get some technical assistance to help us in this area. And then our 3rd strategy is the skills transferability and job matching, which we really do on a basic level, but hope that we can really expand that as well. So we're grateful for this opportunity, and we are eager to learn from everyone.
Oh, that's great. And I think what we want to say here is that we're eager to learn and to be taught. I don't want to dismiss the fact that some of the folks that are involved on this call today and will be involved from you guys may wind up bringing things to the table that advance even the things that have been done to date. And that's the beauty of this. Historically from ETA, it's been called a call for innovation. You'll see pilot states, ITSE and others have been doing it. For that matter, so has ETA been doing it. And I'm envisioning that you guys will move the needle even further. So thank you, Kansas, for being here, and we look forward to working with you. Kentucky.
Thank you as well from Kentucky for bringing us on board with the Institute. Kentucky, currently present, we have someone from our Business and Finance office, Michelle Sutton, Stuart Johnson from our Office of Technical Services, Amy Weatherby, our webmaster. Ron Winfield is with our help desk, is on another line. He's also a business analyst for us. Myself, Dustin Adams, I'm the UI director here. We have several people absent that are also going to be on our team. Several of them are actually participating in a Region 3 phone conference call right now. But we'll also have individuals from Workforce and Employment Services, including our director, Lori Collins, and from our communications department or division, Holly Neal is one of those individuals that will be participating as our team members. Kentucky really currently has no real social media footprint for unemployment insurance and workforce purposes. Kentucky is where we consider ourselves on the ground floor for social media and for UI, and when it comes to UI and reemployment services. But we do feel we're at least in the building. We just have not really gotten very far to date, and that's one of our first things that we want to do with the Institute is we want to leverage the knowledge from the Institute for developing a plan for Kentucky going forward into the future with the social media aspects. We will provide what we can to the Institute as far as lessons learned as we develop our social media, and we will provide use of any expertise and knowledge we have, which may include we may bring in some outside experts to assist us as contractors, and we would share any knowledge we gain from that with the Institute. We've also started requirements gathering for the Common Front Door, the Integrated Workforce Registration System, and we've begun developing a rules-based engine to enhance claims intake process that we were planning on incorporating into that process. We'd also like to leverage some of the Institute's knowledge on this project as well as be more than willing to share what we've done to date and what we were willing to be, or what we do in the future. We're also planning on developing real-time triage and getting into data analytics in the future. And so we're just really looking forward to working closely with the Institute for the mutual benefit of all of us. And we thank you for this opportunity.
Thanks so much. And I'm happy to hear about your plans on the kind of virtual front door and your work on requirements docs. And if you haven't already, you'll want to go to the website and pull down ITSE's technical documentation on the requirements they did for the development of the Integrated Workforce Registration and WIP tools. If you don't already have that, I imagine it may save you a lot of work. So if you'll remind me later, I'll show you how to get to that if you don't already have it. But Kentucky, thanks for being here. You guys are doing a lot of great work down there, and I'm so pleased to see you involved in the process. Looking forward to working with you. Georgia, you're batting cleanup, folks.
This is Denise Beckwith, and I would like to thank you for letting Georgia join. As Gay indicated, we were not one of the original that were selected for this, but we did get grant money for a different project that kind of goes along with this project. Georgia right now, we have a very strong presence in social media, but we are looking at ways to target and connect our UI claimants with social media. So we're very interested to learn what's out there and what's available. We're also looking at, and we're currently researching the integrated workforce registration. Currently, Georgia is working to redesign or integrate our UI and ES system. And so we're really interested in the tools that are available for this project.
Well, again, we're going to give you some access and insight on how you're going to start to collect information there. And I think, based on what I've heard from all of you guys, I love the fact that you've come to this with something on the table. I love the fact that you have questions, and I hope we're going to show you how we're prepared to help answer them. And get you in contact with people that have fought the same fights you're fighting now and can shorten your learning curve. And I also love the fact that you're willing, as you create new ideas that improves on things others have done, that you're willing to share them back. And that's the perfect mindset, I think, to get us started on this. So welcome, all of you. I want to go take us through the web resources and the Institute site, give you a sense of what's coming, how to interact with the materials. But before I do, let me introduce to you, and many of you know Jen Pirtle from ETA. Jen is our champion on the other side, if you will, from the federal partner side. She's our day-to-day project lead. She's been providing a lot of the guidance that has gotten us to this point. And she and her peers colleagues in OWI have worked across borders between the UI office and with OWI to make sure that we have an integrated approach to getting this done. So, Jen, do you want to just give us a few tidbits about the grant requirements before we get into the Institute details itself?
Yes. Thank you, Rick. I'll just give you I've had a few questions from people about the specifics of the grant, so I'll give you a few answers, and then if you have individual questions, we can talk about it offline. But the period of performance is October 1 through September 30 of 14. So in order to use the funds for the grants that received funding, the funds must be obligated by 9/30/14, and then you have 90 days to draw down the funds. If you pass those 90 days, you may not be able to draw down those funds. So we'd want to get you to obligate those sooner rather than later. As far as budget narratives, because we had you redo your SF424s, we don't really have budget narratives, and we also kind of wanted to see what happened with the Institute. to determine what you wanted to do with that additional funding after the Institute is over. So I will work with you all individually after the Institute to finalize your budget narratives, which will include part of your implementation plan, so you'll have some time to decide what you want to use that money for. And if you need some ideas, you may get some through the Institute, or we can talk about it offline. You guys are not new grantees, so I don't have to tell you any more about quarterly reports. There is a short narrative that is due along with the 9130. That should say 9130, not 9-30. I don't know how that happened. But those are all due 45 days after the end of the quarter. And then the procurement guidelines, you just need to work within your own state procurement rules in order to procure anything, including a facilitator or any contractors or traveling that you have to do. So we just want to make sure that you're following your own state rules. And then if you have questions about your individual grants, I'm happy to talk to you offline. So I'll turn it back over to Rick to actually talk about the Institute and what's coming up.
Thank you, Jen. And again, folks, if you have questions, concerns on anything I'm going to say, or questions about grant issues for Jen, type them in the chat box. We'll either get to them in the Q&A, or if they're more appropriately handled directly with your state, I'm sure Jen will deal with you individually offline. But don't forget, you can pop those questions in or have them for our Q&A later. So let's dig in. So one of the things that's going to be different about this Institute, if any of you have done some online institutes, which we're doing more of now on behalf of ETA, they are, it's always best to be face-to-face, but this is an efficient process and it's proven to be effective. And in this instance, we're doing something that's even a little bit more, I think, innovative, in that we're going to give you an opportunity to shape the content of this Institute a little bit. So what I'd like to do first is to say, let me get through some polling questions, some understanding of your current status, and then I'm going to show you some of the resources and the layout of the Institute after that, and then I'm going to actually give you a chance to tell us by poll what topics and access to SMEs make the most sense for you. And we're literally going to change some of our prejudgments about content for the Institute based on the insights you give us today and after today. All right? So I'm going to take you through some polls. Bear with me. They're designed to have us help to understand where you are today and get you kind of keyed up and ready for the Institute and the work thereafter. So let me go right to poll number 1, if you would. So the question is simply this. Have you completed the state action plan? I've mentioned this already once today, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. So your options are yes, I have, no, our state action plan is almost complete, we still have a lot of work to do, or what in the heck is an action planner? So don't be afraid. There's at least one courageous person that selected that answer already, number D. It would not be a bad answer given our state. So, okay, perfect. All right, so of the states on the call, suffice to say, and Brian, we could take that down because everybody's responded now. We are in a load of C or D. We have a lot of work to do, or what's an action planner? And that's probably about appropriate given where we are. I'm going to tell you what an action planner is, and I'm going to tell you now, and I'll probably tell you again later, I would strongly urge that this state action planner be your first step in the process. And I'll explain it a little bit further as we go. Let's bring up, before I go there, I'll show you one. This is the state action planner. It's just a snap, of course, of this readiness action planner. It asks a number of questions. It asks you to honestly respond to them. And at the end of it, it gives you a sense in a variety of different places where you are. So, for instance, it's going to ask you questions about, it's assessing your status relative to social media. It'll ask a series of questions relative to real-time triage and skills transferability. There's also a section on communications strategies, how you tell other stakeholders in your state and customers about what you're going to be doing or what you are doing today. And I think this serves the purpose of helping you get a current as-is perspective of where things lie in your state, and also by doing it individually and then comparing your kind of results among your team members, and some of you have pretty robust teams with 10 or 12 folks on them. It'll really help you get an honest assessment and align across your teams about where you are today and therefore where your opportunities are. And it might help you prioritize, not necessarily to say I'm not going to do one thing or another, but to prioritize as you create your strategic plan. So that Reemployment Action Planner, I would tell you, is a really good tool. Again, it's for you. It helps your team assess its strengths and weaknesses. It is for your benefit only. It's not to be shared unless you want to share it with another state or with ETA. We're not collecting it. We're not judging it. It's not scored. There are no right or wrong answers. Just that as you rate yourself, in those areas where you rate yourself less strong, those might be the areas where you identify as your greatest areas of opportunity. So I'm going to show you how to get to the State Action Planner here in a little bit and urge you again to make that your kind of front door to the Institute and your preparations for what you're going to do here, the State Readiness Action Planner. Okay, Brian, let's go to the next question, and this one is similar. Has your state yet completed a social media readiness assessment? And so, yes, we're currently working on it, or no, which might be something like, I didn't know there was such an animal, okay? So, again, the results here are pretty much similar to the last question, which would make sense to me. 2 states are working on it, 3 states are working on it, and 3 have not yet started it. Okay, in a similar way, the State Media Readiness Action Planner helps you assess where you are currently around a continuum, if you will, of social media prowess, for the lack of a better word. So, from dipping your toes in on the one end of the scale all the way to being immersed in social media, it'll give you a sense of where your state is today, and therefore what might be a logical place for you to move the needle. And you might choose, for instance, awareness building as opposed to, full immersion as your first step. So similar to the last assessment, this is a tool designed to get you an as-is session. And just make a note, this is under the work plan template on the Reemployment Connections Institute website, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. So, Brian, we got a sense of where folks are there. That's great. Let's move on to the next question quickly. What progress have you made towards finalizing your state team membership? And I can tell from my early tools, which may be dated, some states seem to have a full team already mapped, and others are still working on it. Again, I'm not judging it. I'm just trying to get a sense of where you are and, therefore, what kind of technical assistance you might need. All right? What progress have you made? And about, a couple of us feel as though we're done, and about 4 states are still in the process of finalizing their membership. That's great. There are resources available on the Reemployment Connections website. There are sample team memberships. Again, each state makes their decision here. These are simply the kinds of things we've gotten from SMEs, and they may be available and help you as you make your finalization of your plan. Even if you think you're final, you might want to look at those things, again, under the work plan template part of the Institute site. Remember, the work plan is that piece that's going to help you assess your vision, your mission, your team membership, effectively getting you ready for the Institute. So if you think in terms of hiring a facilitator, deciding who's on my team, what my mission's going to be, all of those are work plan related things, and you'll find that filed under work plan readiness tools on the website. Okay? I'm going to show you that so you don't need to worry about it too much. Again, if you're still in the process of finalizing your team, even if you feel you're final and you want to check it against what others have done, you refer to the RC website and look under the requirements of the grant, the recommendations that are in these various places on the website, which I'll show you. And even as it relates to your facilitator selection, we have criteria, importance, in the roles of a facilitator that are available. Many of you had them already emailed to you by Jen Pirtle. Otherwise, that the facilitator selection criteria is also likewise available on the website, which I'm going to tour you through in just a moment. Let's move on to that state facilitator, all-important role. By now, you've probably figured out that I, Rick, am going to be the national level coordinator, and I'm going to be working with my team here. Many of you know Fred Holman from the Chicago regional office. He thought he retired, but we won't let him. And Susan Tartaglino, who's with me here, is our project manager. We'll be in touch with state facilitators. When they have a problem, they'll let us know. We'll try to make sure that you guys get the results and the support you need along the way. So we want to make sure this person's in place, they're trained, and they know how to get us so that we can get them the help they need. Really pleased to see already that half the states have already identified their state facilitator. That's great, great news. Others have some candidates already. So the fact that you're thinking ahead and you're working on it, and I know that many of you were set back by the shutdown and other priorities, so I really appreciate the focus on that. A good state facilitator is worth his or her weight in gold, and it'll be our main contact to make sure that we're keeping you moving and we're getting you the help you need. Remember, we're hoping that state facilitators are acquired by November 18th, and make a note of a date. We will be doing a facilitator training by webinar. And all that does is let the facilitator know their expectations, the dates, introduce them to the facilitator's guide, again, also on the website, and introduce them to us so that they know where to go if they have a problem, a challenge, and help that's needed. So that training will be on November 21st. So we certainly want to make sure our facilitators are on board for that. Okay? And I again have mentioned this work plan multiple times, so let me just point out. The work plan is going to assess our point of contact and our project facilitator and name them for us. It's going to list your final team members. It's going to list your mission, vision, and goals, and you'll see samples from pilot states for all of this on the website. You should not feel obliged to use those samples. You may leverage them and create your own. You'll see a list of specific policy, infrastructure, measurements, or service delivery gaps and opportunities that you're going to be focused on. We'll ask you to record that on the work plan and sign it. And this work plan is due to ETA on the 22nd of November. I believe that's correct. Yes. So you'll want to focus on that kind of first up. And many of the things I've just been asking about are really contained in getting this work plan together and finalized by the 22nd of November. Okay? So as it relates to the work plan, my next question is, how many of you are aware of it and what's your progress on that to date? So Brian, if you could bring that poll up for us and people could just quickly tell us where they are with that. Do you have it complete, almost complete, or just a lot of work to do and still downloading it from the website kind of thing? Or maybe this is the first time you've heard of it, right? So not surprisingly, most all of our states are picking D. They have a lot of work to do. At this stage of the game, that's appropriate, and that's exactly why we're holding this quick orientation today. Raise it in your consciousness and let you know that we've got a set of tools that can help you kind of get this thing focused and moving forward. Now, I've mentioned, thank you for your answers. I'm going to now take you through this website quickly. And Brian's going to let me actually share my screen, and if you'll bear with me, I'm going to go out to the website, and I'm going to show it to you. And those of you should be able to see the Reemployment Connections website now. If for some reason you're not seeing it, and you have a technical assistance problem, press *6 and scream, and we'll make sure we get you here. But you're looking at the home page of the Reemployment Connections website. You can see already on the moving panel, I'll just go back to the last one, there is a link to the state readiness assessment right there. But this panel just jumps you through learning more about the Institute, learn about how state pilots have used. There's presentations here you may have seen. The facilitator's guide is linked from this panel, this readiness assessment, and more information about the Institute. But the most important thing on this first page, notice as I scroll down that the actual Institute sessions are shown right here. And I'm going to go over this, but you'll see the Institute is divided into a General Institute track, and today's session was the first event in the General Institute track. All states, all team members are encouraged to attend those sessions. Those are what's going to keep us on track, orient you to the outcomes, the process we're trying to do, walk you through the creation of a strategic plan, share your results, get you access to SMEs, and make sure at the end, literally, that you are presenting your outcomes. And you'll see each event is listed there, starting with a state facilitator, today's event, obviously, but state facilitator training, each check-in call, the end of the Institute presentation, and ultimately your final plan presentations, where we'll be able to kind of share between states and see things come together. You'll see also there are two other tracks, one on social media and one on what I call the technology tools, the IWR and the WIP track. All of these sessions are open to everybody, no matter what your focus is. And as I say, if your goals shift and you decide to do them all, we would be pleased as punch. Whether you're doing them all today or at some stage level, I don't want you to miss the opportunity to access those SMEs. So all of these sessions will be available to everyone, regardless of what your focus or goals are today. And all of them will be recorded and shared on the site if any member of your team misses one. The Institute tab shows you just literally the breakdown of the Institute, what it is, the elements in the Institute that we're focused on, and so forth. But if I go back to the homepage, just really quickly, I want to show you a couple things. If you want to get to the work plan easily, bingo, there you are. Right to the right-hand side, you can link to the work plan. Notice I can open it, download it to my PC. But other things I want you to see, notice all the things I told you, sample team member roles and responsibilities, the sample vision and mission goals. Anywhere that the work plan asks you for an outcome, like a mission statement, resources that we have to share on that are linked right from this template. You don't have to go searching. You don't go hunting, pecking. You download the work plan template. All of the resources supporting it are linked right out of this document. So I would encourage you to make that one of your first stops along the way. Notice also the State Readiness Action Planner is available right here off the homepage. I did mention the state pilot projects. Under this tab, State Pilots, you can go through, look a little bit about the history of the initiative from ETA, beginning with their National Call for Innovation, bring you through the development of the various technology tools and pilot sites, and then actually listen to SMEs from states talk about their experience, be it with social media, with the technology tools, or all of the above. These are short videos. You can download them. You can watch them right here on the website and get a quick history lesson from states. Notice, too, the calendar feature. I can look at the month, see when I've got something planned. I get the event here and links to the event. And I can look through December, and you'll note here's our bulk of the Institute, those 2 weeks in the month of December. I know in some cases that's going to be a challenge for your team members to group things that way. We ask, of course, everybody to come to everything. We're aware the world doesn't allow that all the time. That's why we're recording everything, but please make your best efforts to have your teams available at these main events. And what we will say is if you'll stick through us with those 2 weeks, we're going to get out of your hair and let you do your work following it. So we packed the calendar around those 2 weeks. I want to show one or two quick things, and I'm going to jump back and bring us to close. Ask the expert. If you have a question and you're in a meeting and you need to get an answer, or you want a pilot state to answer, or Jen Pirtle to answer, or Gay Gilbert or Amanda to chime in, you can come to Ask the Expert, press on that button, enter your email, submit it, and we will get a response posted here within 24 to 48 hours maximum. Obviously, we're going to give you our direct email, and you can get to us that way as well. If you need us available during a physical team meeting, you want to have us call in, you can arrange that by contacting me or Susan or Fred. Now, lastly, I want you to note that on this homepage, under the Institute sessions, you don't have to worry about coming to the calendar all the time. You can save all these events right here or any one of them. So if I want to come to this event, I'll click Save the Date. It opens up a Microsoft Outlook pop-up. If I press OK, it will download it and add it to my calendar. I can do that with all of the Institute tracks from here. Okay? So just know that if you want to come to a webinar event, you'll do it right from the website. If you want to get these dates on your calendar, come here, and just log on to the Institute page, the home page, scroll down and just download all of these events or any one or all of them into your Outlook calendars. So again, I would encourage you to come back to the website. On the resources page, I should probably show you that quickly. So this resources page allows you to look at resources on the level of what states have shared, but it also allows you to look at things from a topical perspective. So if I'm looking for Institute materials, I can just do that, and quickly it'll bring up my template and the facilitator guide. If, on the other hand, my interest is on social media, I can go to topics, click on that, and anything that I have around social media is here. There's a really good social media guide put together under the auspices of ETA by ITSE, and you'll see that there's a wealth of information in there about the broad topics, and the assessment of the social media assessment I showed you actually is derived from this social media guide, but also common policies other states have used and so forth. So if you want to know about any of the social media kind of assessment levels, here they are, standing on the edge all the way to immersed. Or if I want to know about the IWR, I can simply come to topics, click on that, and there, by the way, is technical documentation I mentioned earlier, and some of the work done in some other states, some summaries from pilot states that have used it. So you're going to find this, I hope, a really easy to navigate, easy to use, resource-rich site. I would encourage you to come here, download your calendars, but also to get your work plan templates. Your state readiness assessment action planner, again, is right here. Get familiar with the site. If you have any questions, shoot and ask the expert, and we'll be back in touch and offer you some assistance. So, Brian, I'm going to come back to the webinar room. Thank you very much. And keep going here, because there's some things I just want to mention. Remember that calendar. Go there tomorrow, go there tonight, download all those dates into your Outlook calendar. Whenever there's a webinar, you go to your calendar, you'll click on the link, it'll bring you right into the webinar. You don't need to necessarily go through Workforce One after today. In the tracks, I want to just quickly give you a sense of the tracks. Remember, your participation in any or all of the tracks should be based on your self-assessment, your focus area, and your goal. But I want to stress, regardless of what you decide you're going to do in the short term, we would encourage everybody, and we built it so that everybody has access to all tracks, from whether social media or the technology tools. We've divided the Institute into these three tracks: general sessions, social media, and the technology tools, and I'll show you what that looks like here. This looks a lot like what I just showed you on the homepage of the website. Notice today is our orientation webinar. On December 2nd, we'll start the Institute with our kickoff webinar in earnest. And then immediately following the kickoff webinar, where we'll hope to have all of you present, these tracks will start and run in parallel to the General Institute tracks. Now, these are full-fledged webinars, the General Institute track, of the like we're going through today. These social media intros, you'll see pilot states here talking about in the 101, this is what we learned in New York and Minnesota and Idaho. This is what we did. Here's how we did it. Here's how we structured our survey. Here's how we went about it. Here's the results we've achieved. Similarly, the 101 webinar on the tools track we'll show you what we did from the perspective of ITSE, Tom Krasnerick at ITSE, and I believe the state of Mississippi. By the way, very impressive PowerPoint presentation. Going to show you what's been done on not just planning for, but the actual deployment of these technology tools. Single sign-on, individual profile in one case, and the full, in full breadth of representation here on social media, from dipping your toe in the water to full immersion from the various states. Notice then following it, what we've done is we've set up a section of 3 to 4 chats, informational chats. These are, we are out of the equation. You're not going to hear any speeches from me. You're not going to hear a lot of plaudits from our federal partners. You're going to be in a short chat, 30 to 45 minutes, unrehearsed, real time, down, rubber meets the road on these topics, right? So how do I educate my audience if I'm going to go to social media? And you're going to be there with the SMEs from New York and Idaho and Minnesota and say, guys, this is what I'm worried about. How in the heck did you get through that? Or I have an issue of policy. How am I going to get around that? What did you guys do? So these are topical chats. They run alongside the Institute track. If you look at the dates and download them or look at it in a calendar, you'll see we have a meeting on the 2nd. Then the 3rd is open where you might go to a chat on the 3rd, and then another general session is on the 4th. So they're available to everyone. They will be recorded, but these are really, we're encouraging you to get together with SMEs and just kind of let it all out and say, I need to talk to somebody about X, Y, Z. What can you guys help me with? And they'll either tell you their experience or they'll tell you where to find more information. So these chats, in addition to the General Institute track, which will take us through the beginning, regular check-ins, we'll focus on measurement and communication and some topics here, but this is more about making sure we're making it through the process of getting to a strategic plan. And these social media track on the one hand and tools track are more about getting you that access to SMEs. Now, I want to stress finally that these chat topics are not cast in cement. It might look like it. They're on the website today. But I want to give you guys an opportunity to influence it, and I'm going to do it as we wrap this webinar with some polling questions. But before we get to those, key dates for you to remember. Coming at it today, team facilitators, hopefully by the 18th of November. We're going to train your facilitators. I'm going to work with them and our team so they know what resources we have available, make this kind of a smoother process to get them up to speed on the 21st. The RC Institute kicks off on the 2nd, and you can see that the learning sessions and other webinars go on respective dates thereafter. Again, I'm not listing all of them. They're right there to download off the website. Ultimately, your draft completion and sharing of your strategic plan will be submitted to ETA no later than January 13th. And on the 16th of January 2014, we will have a sharing where all the states will present their plans, and you'll be able to learn from each other. And that will wrap our institute. Finally, between the end of the classroom sessions and the formation of these plans, we'll have regular weekly facilitator conference calls. So if there are problems, challenges, more information needed, our job is to make sure you got the support you need to get to the finish line. So those are the key dates to remember. Those first two probably most important. Team facilitator training on the 21st, team facilitator on the 18th, and not on this slide, but remember, work plan submission to ETA 11/22. So, with that, final word, any of these dates, click on the link. It'll bring you to the invite, and you can save the date. And then in your Outlook calendar, when you're ready to come to one of the webinars, either go to the website and click on your link, or go to your Outlook calendar, click on your link. You come straight to the room. You don't need to go through the Workforce One registration process as you would for other webinars. So it's easier, cleaner, and simpler for you to join these events. Okay, so finally for us, I've asked you for contact information. Here's some for us. If you have any problems with Institute support at all, RC Institute support at MayorNet. It'll come directly to Susan and I. we'll make sure you get the right support from myself, from Fred Holman on our team, from Lynn Bajork on our team, whoever here is best able to help you. If you're trying to connect to a webinar and you can't, dial us directly at this number, and we will be here with live support to make sure that you can get connected. And of course, your point of contact for matters relevant to grant matters, at least, we can't give you that kind of advice, and the expert on that would be Jen Pirtle, as I'm sure you already know. So I want to close by getting your insight on things. And I'm going to give you and your facilitators other opportunities to chime in. But I told you this is new. We designed the chats for social media the way I showed you on the website. We then went to our SMEs and they added some different ideas. We're going to change these topics based on what you guys tell us you need. So take a look at this. By the way, I'm going to save this and I'll share it with you. So if you get the teams together and you have a different vote, feel free. But each state, please pick 3 of these topics. The one thing I can't do is pile more topics on into those 2 weeks. You guys are busy now. So we may be able to give you more of this support in further projects that Gay referenced early on. But pick the top 3 for me here, if you would, which means that there could be as many as 18 votes, 6 states, 3 each. You get me? I got 2, I got 4, I got 6, I got 8, I got 11. So there's still some people that haven't voted. I'll leave it up for just a minute more. What I'm seeing from you guys right now is educating your audience, metrics for measurement, which is a big push, by the way. So that's a big one. Implementing, do I do it from a state level down or is it decentralized? Staff training is a big one. And I'm seeing engaging customers. All right? And I'll just give another 5 or 10 seconds to make sure I've got everybody in. Really great feedback, guys. And I'm seeing some of these align to our early ideas, and some of them are different. So guess what? We're changing to meet what you're telling us. You'll see those topics change, and we'll inform you when they do based on these final results. Thank you so much. Brian, let me go to the next question. There's 2 more, and then I'm going to let you guys wrap up and turn it back to ETA. Now, in the general track sessions, we had a couple SME learning events. They're included on this slide, but a couple others were raised as possible areas of interest for states. Here I'm going to tell you I got 2 sessions to work with. Which of these 2 make the most sense for you? And I'm seeing states already chiming in. If you have a burning passion for something that I haven't identified here, click on other and enter it in the chat room or send us an email. So, I mean, I'm not making, you don't have to stick with my list, but I'm interested to see, and by the way, this isn't my list. This is our designers and SMEs created these ideas, okay? So what I'm seeing, by the way, thank you guys, you're coming right in on me. Communication strategy, huge need. Knowing your audience again, policies and procedures. I think that I would agree, by the way, a lot of you are there because a lot of this is about policy, isn't it? And skills transferability. So there's a widespread result there. That's great. Thank you so much, guys. Brian, I want to go to the last question quickly now so we can get these guys back to work. Now, again, these are the technology tool topics. Some of you may be aware that with the ITSE tools, you have a choice to host them either behind your firewall or in the cloud. So that's what that first option means. And then how do you implement lessons learned, and that is specifically from Mississippi and New York that have done extensive work on these tools. And then using the ITSE technical specs is the last one. And again, if there's a different one, click on other and send me a note in the chat room. Yeah. 100% of people are saying implementation planning. I think I get the message, guys. All right? And then we're spread around the rest of them. Awesome. Okay, great, Brian. That's great. And thanks to all of you. I can make you this commitment. If the answers I saw there differ from what you saw on our first map, you will see our map change to reflect what you guys need. And I really appreciate ETA's flexibility in letting us do it this way. We've never done it before. And I appreciate our SMEs who've been willing to make themselves available to shift the content to meet your needs. So that's wonderful and appreciate it. So I'm going to now ask if there are questions. We've covered a lot of information. We're actually a few minutes late. So I want to turn it back to Gay or Jen Pirtle to close us. But if there are any questions right now, just press *6 and chime in or send me something in the chat room. Remember, the website, I think, will probably answer a lot of questions. If you need to, you contact us. If you see you can't find something you need, shoot us. We are here 24/7. Well, not quite that, but we're here every day with the main mission to make sure that you guys have what you need. Any questions at all from any of the states before I turn it back to ETA to close us out? So hearing none, we have either sufficiently answered all questions or sufficiently confused you. If it's the latter, when the questions rise up, shoot us an email and we'll get you an answer. In closing, let me just say on behalf of the entire team here and our technical assistance group, we so much appreciate your guys' expertise, your time in town, and are really looking forward to this engagement. And we're going to do everything we know humanly possible to make sure we get you the support you need. And with that said, let me turn it back to Jen Pirtle at ETA for some closing comments.
Actually, you're going to have Gay Gilbert.
Good. Oh, thanks, Gay. I didn't know you were with us still.
Absolutely. But having said that, before we leave, we need to wish Miss Jen Pirtle happy birthday. And also to thank her for all her hard work to coordinate with the grantees. She'll be an invaluable resource for you as you move forward. First of all, I'm going to guess, having to watch this webinar with you, that you might be a little overwhelmed right now. Let me just say that while Rick went through a lot of stuff, you obviously see that your calendars are going to fill up pretty heavily in the first 2 weeks of December, and you've seen that there's actual work to be done, and you all already have full-time jobs. So I'm going to guess that you're feeling probably, oh my gosh. But let me just say, I think you're going to find, first of all, I think the website is very easy to navigate and has some pretty good, solid information for you. And it's been designed in a way so you can access it in large measure when you're able to, and fit it into your schedules. I think you're also going to find we have had at least one other virtual institute before this one, and it got pretty much rave reviews. I think while it is intensive while it's going on, it is a nice mix of you all being able to hear from subject matter experts and then go off and kind of process that in the context of your state and do the work that you need to do. And you'll find, I think, that everybody's honestly very committed to your success, so wanting to help you through the process. And while it looks like there's going to be a lot of forms to fill out, how many times did we see the work plan in this webinar? But obviously the work plan is your end product, and it's going to reflect really the work that you will move forward with. And so the lead up to that is pretty important, and I think we've designed a process that I think is going to get you something that your state will value in the end, and that will help be a good path forward for you. So with that, I just want to say thanks to Rick and team, thanks to Jen and everyone, all the folks here at ETA, but especially to our states who have joined us. While you may, as I said, be feeling slightly overwhelmed at the moment, I think it's going to be a grand adventure, and honestly, I think there's going to be some really good work that comes from it that will benefit your states and your unemployed workers. So thanks for being with us. And Rick, anything last minute, or are we ready to close out?
I think we're ready to let people go back to work. Thank you all. Thanks, Gay.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.